Anybody that grew up playing football in the mid-2010s knows the name Tavon Austin. I mean, how couldn't you? This guy has one of the most memorable college football tapes that exist. To this day, people still watch his college tape in order to prep for games to get their mind right or whatever the case may be. You could even consider him to be the AI of this generation for football players. He was legendary. And I don't just say that to throw a watch up or anything like that. He literally was legendary. This guy couldn't be tackled. You could throw him out wide, you could throw him in the slot, you could throw him at running back, you could give him a touch pass. I mean, hell, they even implemented the jet touch pass to get him the ball. And it also, unrelated, inflated Geno Smith's stats, but not the time. In this video, like many others, with this being the first presenting video, welcome by the way, I'll break down where Tavon grew up, what his childhood looked like, how his childhood molded him into the person that he became today and that we know him as, what his stats look like in high school, what his stats look like in college, and what his stats look like in the NFL. Pretty traditional timeline type story. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first presenting video of this series, starting with Tavon Austin. You are now entering a high-speed zone. Proceed with caution. Welcome to Chatville. So to begin, Tavon Austin grew up in Baltimore, Maryland to a single mother. He does not talk about his dad. He's not very publicized, so I can only assume that Tavon's dad was not around at all. Tavon's outlet for fun, like most kids, was playing outside. In Tavon Austin's childhood neighborhood, which was on Tioga Parkway, there was only a grass strip median for the children to play in. This median, what they called the middle piece, was only about 37 yards long and 15 yards wide. As a parent, I will be very concerned that my children are playing on this so-called middle piece, but as a child, I understand you gotta make do with what you have. Tavon and the other kids in the neighborhood played a game that I call Smear the Actually, I don't know if I can say that. It is a game that he called throw up tackle. I've never heard it called that. I've heard it called other things, but never throw up tackle. This game is similar to 21 in basketball. Throw the ball up, whoever catches it is you versus everybody. And in order to give the ball up, you have to be tackled. I guess you could say this is where Tavon Austin's highlight tape began, because his mindset with this was to never get tackled. In other words, make a miss. Along with playing throw up tackle, whatever you want to call it, and playing Pop Warner for the Hannon Park Cardinals and the Gwen Falls 49ers, he developed the confidence to be able to tell his mom day in and day out, I'm going to make it to the NFL. And don't you forget it. I'm going to make it to the NFL. Even if he didn't know it, he accepted that as his destiny. He said it so much that his mom couldn't help but remember it in a 2016 training camp interview. So with these main elements, playing throw up tackle and playing Pop Warner, Tavon also had his older cousins, both Aaron Thompson, who was a star running back in Baltimore and ended up playing linebacker for Maryland, and his other cousin, Sean Waller. Aaron was his mentor and sort of a trainer. Sean was his trainer. He and Sean would run hills at their grandma's house in order to condition. Little did Tavon know at this time, he built his foundation, also molded his work ethic. And in hindsight, it is easy to see how a star can form within Tavon Austin. Skipping ahead, Tavon went to Dunbar High School. He became a two-sport athlete. He played point guard for his basketball team and did what we soon learned he could do in college, which would be a hybrid wide receiver and running back. Mostly running back, but he did play a little bit of wide receiver. In his very first game, Tavon cribbed the jet sweep, took it 60 yards with 15 seconds left in the game to send the game to overtime. As a freshman, is insane. I'm not surprised to read that Tavon Austin's first touch in high school was a send the game to overtime jet sweep. It doesn't surprise me at all. The guy's a legend. Name somebody you know that's doing that. The guy's a legend. If his very first play in high school doesn't scream legend, I don't know ball. Continuing his freshman season, he went to rush for 1,000+ yards, and for the next 3 seasons, he rushed for 2,000 yards each season, amounting to nearly 8,000 yards total in his career with 123 touchdowns. Bro, this guy is nuts. These are still records that stand to this day in high school in Baltimore. They have yet to be broken. With those numbers, it's easy to assume that Tavon Austin will be a 5-star, can't-miss prospect. However, due to his stature, which he's 5'8", I don't think he grew past that, between 156 and 170 pounds, the discrepancy can go either way. It is high school, you're trying to get recruited, so you'll fluff those numbers if you need to. That won't get you recruited highly, especially at a Power 5 school for running back. He was also seen as a gadget player, which in this time, with early 2010s, was not as popular as it is now. I've also read that Tavon was both seen as a 3-star and a 4-star, these could be two different time frames. I'm going to give credit, so I'm gonna call him a 4-star. As a 4-star, the biggest school to offer him was Michigan. I don't think that would have worked out for him as much. His top 2 schools came down to UNC, University of North Carolina, and West Virginia. And the story goes, Tavon Austin would have went to North Carolina if they let him play running back. So he ended up committing to West Virginia with the intention to play running back. He then arrived, and by the season he was playing wide receiver. College football is a cutthroat, nasty, dirty game. Keeping his head down, team to grind, Tavon made the most of the opportunities that were given to him. Definitely a lesson there. Not gonna get into it today, but there's definitely a lesson there. By the end of his freshman season, he had 15 catches for 151 yards, but the stamp he left was on special teams, where he also returned a kick for 98 yards against UConn. With this stat line, that earned him all Big East freshman team honors. As a sophomore, his output nearly quadrupled, finishing with 58 catches and 787 receiving yards. That led the team. He also finished with 8 receiving touchdowns. Tavon's junior season, I will say he kind of, emphasis on kind of, put himself on the map. He ended that year with 100 catches for 1,186 yards while leading the nation in all-purpose yards, 198 a game. He earned Big East Special Team Player of the Year, first team All-American as a return specialist, and third team All-American as a wide receiver. I did not know there was a third team All-American, but props to him. He also was the Orange Bowl MVP. This Orange Bowl has stars all in it. Taj Boy, Andre Ellerton, DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, hell, even Adam Humphries was on this Clemson team. But WVU beat these boys 70-33. 70-33 is crazy, with Geno completing about 75% of his passes for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. The big story of this game was from the Orange Bowl MVP, Tavon Austin, who had 12 catches for 123 yards and 4 touchdowns. One would think after a season like this, Tavon would go ahead and throw his name into the draft pool. He decided to come back for his senior year to improve his draft stock and to finish unfinished business. Now, what I will say about finishing unfinished business is, as a team, that hardly ever works out. However, this was their last year in the Big East. They ended up going to the Big 12. They made the Orange Bowl, which is, if you don't know, during this time period, that's a very good game to play in, because at the time, only 2 teams could make it to the national championship. Only 2 teams. Wow. What I mean is that there was not a college football playoff, so the chances of making the national championship were very low if you didn't have an undefeated season. So with them not being in a Power 5 conference and now switching to a Power 5 conference, it gave them the opportunity to chase higher goals. Along with wanting to improve your draft stock, it makes sense why Tavon Austin would want to come back for his senior season. Primed to make an impact for his senior season, his yards went up to 1,289 yards with 114 catches. But the change came from Tavon Austin being implemented more as a running back or used on running plays. I can't find anywhere explicitly where Coach Holgerson, the coach of WVU at the time, stated that he will implement Tavon more at running back or in running plays. But up until his senior season, Tavon had 38 rushes in total. His senior season alone, he had 72 carries. So that's almost about half the output that he had in 3 years. I don't know what Coach Holgerson saw over the summer that said, hey, we need to find ways to get him the ball immediately and often. He ended up finishing that season with almost 9 yards a carry. But the game that really put Tavon Austin on the map, November 17th, 7 o'clock kickoff, Fox Sports. The entire nation is watching as WVU trots out their tunnel in their all yellow jerseys. Tavon explodes.
Pistol formation. He's behind Geno. He's going to get the call again. He finds a crease. He's in the 35. He's in the 30. Cuts at the 25. Gets a block at the 20. Sideline 15. Finally escorted out of bounds.
You know, from time to time, I may watch that game, and I always realize they ended up losing that game. Tavon did end that game with 572 all-purpose yards, 82 receiving yards, 344 rushing yards, and 146 yards on kickoff. I won't say it again, but he is a legend. That game alone improved his draft stock tremendously. He went from possibly a day 3 pick to the top of the draft board. While their season ended on sour terms, they ended up going 6-6 in the Big 12. Tavon ended up going 8th overall in the 2013 NFL draft. Which I will say, in hindsight, this draft was awful. I outside of maybe 3 to 4 names. But again, going 8th overall, that's a childhood dream. And one can only think of the times he was running heels at his grandma's house with his cousin Sean, or playing in that grass strip median on Tavon. While his rookie year was nothing to marvel over, Tavon had a big game against the Indianapolis Colts, where he had 2 catches for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he also cribbed a 98-yard punt. This punt is insane because he's calling for everybody to get away from the ball. You know, Peter, but yet he's still running towards the ball as it's bouncing towards the end zone. And right before it bounces into the end zone, he grabs it and just runs right down the right sideline. Don't know what type of instinct this guy has, but he really defied all the special team rules there. This game showed that what Tavon Austin did in college can also be replicated in the NFL if nurtured properly. Emphasis on if. The problem could be looked at as Jeff Fisher was really conservative, especially at this time in his career. So naturally, I don't think this was beneficial for Tavon. Though his best season did come in 2015, where he ended up with 907 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns, it just wasn't enough. This was the year that Todd Gurley was drafted, so I do think that Todd was able to open up the field. I do believe that Todd opened up the field for all our receivers. As I said, Jeff Fisher was fired for Sean McVay, which is crazy. It had to be right place, wrong time, because I couldn't imagine if Sean McVay were to have drafted Tavon Austin and was able to develop him the way Sean McVay has developed Puka, Cooper, etc. Though Tavon Austin may have had one of the funniest flops to be recorded during a football game, his performance just did not improve from that 2015 season. So by the 2018 draft, he was shipped to the Dallas Cowboys for only just a 6th-round pick. While with the Cowboys, that 2018 season, he started out white hot. In week 2, Tavon blurred the Giants for a 64-yard touchdown. He made it look too easy. Later in the year, in week 6 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tavon suffered a season-ending groin injury. For Tavon Austin, the start of 2019 was him signing a prove-it-deal contract with the Dallas Cowboys, trying to run it back to see if he can capture what he did in week 2. This contract was worth up to $2 million. Unfortunately for Tavon, he only amounted to 177 yards and 1 touchdown with 6.4 yards per punt. So after this season, the Cowboys let him walk. Tavon ended up signing a training camp contract with the San Francisco 49ers. But again, he ended up suffering a severe knee injury that landed him on IR, and then he was cut later in the year in October, where he did end up landing on the Green Bay Packers, but only as a depth piece. After that 2020 season, he ended up signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars during the infamous Urban Meyer saga. Even though at this point, people that were fans of Tavon Austin while he was at WVU were being drafted into the league, he just couldn't capture any momentum from his college days or that 2015 season. His stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars was his last time on an active roster. Landed with the Buffalo Bills during training camp to try to make their roster, he ended up being cut right before the season started. That was in 2022, and that was his last time playing football. He officially announced his retirement in the late summer of 2024 via IG. He stated, "No matter how hard you work or how badly you want something, sometimes God has other plans." Message. He thanked everyone that was part of his journey, whether it be coaches, fans, family, etc. He ended by saying football didn't always love him back, but it will forever be his first love. So what I found from Tavon Austin's post-NFL career is accepting brand deals and just doing whatever he can to build his social media up. Other than that, this is the first presenting video. Tavon Austin, thank you for stopping by. Please leave a comment. I'm genuinely curious at what people call throw-up tackle. I can't even say it. It doesn't hit the tongue right. You can also leave a like. If you like to comment the next person you like to see, it'll be helpful. Thank you for stopping by. Please exit safely. Thank you for visiting Chatville.